All right, so got another. This one is pre-owned. So this is a Galaxy DX86V. It is in really good shape. I mean, it's not new, so it might have some small scratches and stuff like that on the bezel. Still has the protector on the cover. It's not a new radio, so don't expect it to be pristine, but it's in fairly decent shape. It's not all beat up. It doesn't smell like cigarette smoke. I need to put the covers back on, or the screws back in the cases, but it's been, I think, spent most of its life in its box. From what I was told by the original owner. So this is a earlier model. I think it's a 2016 model. I did put the Roger beep in it. Actually, I need to make sure that those wires go back into on the bottom there. But I did put the Roger beep in the PA slot, which on these radios they don't have a PA, so that Roger beep is off right now. If you flick that up, it's on, so that is enabled. I showed that before on a video, like how you could do that. It was actually this radio. I was undecided whether I wanted to keep it or not at that time, and I already have one of these, so I really don't need this one. It's excess to my needs. I did put a permanent high cut on it, which is there. It does have the clarifier unlocked, which is part of it there. So the fine clarifier is unlocked. So your coarse was already unlocked from the factory, but now your fine is also unlocked, which is better for these because the coarse is too. You move it a little bit and you slide 150 hertz. So this is going to give you a much more flexibility. So this isn't going to be like a powerhouse radio. I don't care what others might show on their videos and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, if you want, you can go in and crank the variable resistor up for AM modulation. You can crank up the ALC and the SSB limits in there, and you can get more power out of it. But you're going to sound like total garbage on sideband, and you're going to sound overmodulated like hell on AM. So it's depending on how you want to go with it. This is a fully adjustable radio, so when I sell these pre-owned, I sell them how they are. I don't warranty the pre-owned radios or anything, so you see them working, and that's the best I can do for you. If it breaks down the road or something like that, you'll have to either get it fixed or fix it yourself or something. So that's just the nature of a used radio. But everything works. Nothing's flaking out on it or anything. I mean, I don't think this has ever really been mobile or anything like that. What you'll find on these kind of radios is if you put them mobile, they can get beat up a little bit, and some of the solder joints and stuff might start to break loose, and that's where you're going to get problems with the radios. So or frequency counters, when you first turn them on, sometimes they don't work properly for a few seconds. This one doesn't seem to have that, so sometimes you get it where it's showing a wrong frequency or something or whatever, but this seems to be pretty responsive. You can slide all the way to the 0 and a little bit past, so that's something that those that might want to do. This is a fine, so it doesn't give you much flexibility. You do have 40 up and 40 down, so it does not have the 10 kc jump. You could enable that from that board inside on the bottom side. Actually, there's another way you could put a couple more wires and put a switch on it. I'm not going to do that. Most people aren't buying this radio to be their number one. This is the only radio I'm going to use kind of radio. If it was, then yeah, you might want that, but it's easy enough to do yourself. 2 wires and a switch, and that's all you need. You could drill a hole in the bottom case or something, or run it out the back, or whatever you want to do for that. So there's ways to do that to get a 10K, because what you're going to find is you're going to miss some stuff here, which is normal for Ranger radios. Like you miss 445, you can go to 440, and almost, if you were on AM right here, you'd be able to talk to somebody. I mean, you'd be 300 hertz off frequency or more, but they would hear you and you would have a conversation. But on sideband, it's not going to work too well, so you would need your 10K button to get some of those offsets. Same thing here. Some of these jump around too, like we all know, here to here. There is one in between. The 10K would give it. So that's that. I mean, if you wanted to do it, you could. I'm not going to do it to the radio. We're just going to briefly show the power output of the radio. RF power's all the way up, mic gain's all the way up. So let's just take a quick peek. This is AM mode. So I have this one kind of turned down. It's not up very high. That's RF power up all the way. And then RF power down all the way is a little less than 1. So we'll start up here. So this is the RMS right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check, check, check. It's not going to be a huge powerhouse, but it does have good modulation. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Hello. We can always turn it up if you want to. So PEP power. That's where you can really see your modulation increase, you know. And some guys probably would run this with a small, I don't know what the popular ones are these days, but like the 503 HD or something like that, or the 703. This would run that beautiful on AM because it's not doing a ton of power, but it's doing right around what you would need to really hit that on AM. So it would work well there. I'll show you here. Actually, we'll look here. Let me see here. What do we got going on? So there's always some weird spikes on these radios on either side of the carrier. I don't know why they're like that, but they've always been like that. So this isn't a real like spectrally pure radio, but I mean, we're not really bothering anybody with our equipment these days. I mean, yeah, you can, and I'm not saying that people don't, but one way around that would be simply just hook a bandpass filter up to the output of whatever you're running. And if it's your radio, just put one on the back of it. You know, if it's an amplifier, then I would say get a low pass, because a bandpass usually doesn't, unless you got a really big one, which are very costly. Low pass is very cheap for what you can get for a high power, but this isn't really a big deal. But what you can see there is a really strong level of audio. So these always kind of had people that know and have seen these on spectrum analyzers and stuff. When you key up on AM, you always had like a spike on each side, and it's down below the 0 line, which is not really to worry about, but you know, for the sake of argument, it's there, you know, and it is what it is. So, you know, let's look at the front of the radio. So the front of the radio is going to show you on AM kind of like audio. It's not really for power, it's more for modulation. You can go in and turn that adjustment up. Hello. I don't like it when it slams the corner of the meter. It's not good for the meter, so I kind of turn it down. Again, if this is a radio that somebody would buy and want to use for their everyday only radio, which most guys don't, they have other radios, they just like Galaxy, and you can't get these anymore, especially like in a good condition like this, then, you know, you can play with it inside. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. You know, whoever buys it, it's going to be their radio. If they want to do something to it, then do it. Sideband on this. So on sideband, and of course I have it in the SWR scale there, so that's where I'd recommend leaving it. You don't see a ton of power on the meter, even if you take it out of that. Hello, because I've cleaned up the sideband a lot on this, so, you know, and therefore power wise you don't see a ton of power out of it. You see between 10 and 20 watts maximum. I mean, yeah, you can go in and turn it up, but it's going to get a lot dirtier on the output, so keep that in mind. It's however far you want to take it. And I don't think that most guys are really buying a Galaxy radio per se either to use as their everyday only sideband radio. These are really good AM radios. They just kind of have sideband. That's what I've always said. Now, granted, with the unlocked fine clarifier, you can definitely get on frequency and not have a problem and talk to people. But there's much better radios out there to run on sideband. So, you know, we have to be realists about when we buy equipment and what we're buying it for and that kind of thing. So, let's look at our transmit frequency here really quick. Just want to slide this back on frequency a little bit here. And there you go. So you can see where they're at. They're both pretty much at 12 o'clock, and that's 27,205, and the counter agrees. So, you know, there's always just a slight warm-up period with these, but again, if you move this course a little bit, it changes a lot. So what I like to do is kind of center the course and then just adjust the fine somewhat to get yourself back on frequency, and that's the better way to do it. See how I kind of put the course? It's hard to put in the middle when I'm looking through the phone and to look at the radio, but you can kind of see what I did there. I put the course in the middle and just kind of used the fine as a little like a VFO almost, and then you can see we're right on frequency. So it's really not that hard to do it, but you know, this is not like a newer radio that has the almost like the ham radios per se. You know, they stay perfectly on frequency from the minute you turn them on until you shut them off and whatever. So you know, guys like these older radios though, and if you're a fan of Galaxy, this was a really nice Galaxy radio. So I'll just put it on the air really quick, and you can hear, maybe you'll be able to tell, I don't know, I don't have a way to shut that high cut off, but I think it makes a good difference, you know. It's just a little ceramic capacitor.
Good, but I think the quad 5s and the quad 6s both sound really good. And I don't think you have to do anything to them, right? You just hook them up, right?
Thought maybe we'd find some stuff up here, but we're not really finding anything. There's Jamaica. Well, I did adjust the S meter for S9 calibration. Anybody that knows Ranger Galaxy radios, the S meters are usually really tight on them anyway, so it's really hard to peg somebody over on one. Versus a lot of the new radios that are really happy, and they give you everybody's in the red on a newer style radio. So it's all depending on how the mechanical design of the meter and, you know, the board design and all that stuff. So it's going to be hard to tell on the video, but there's definitely not when you. We're not an AM, sorry. Should have been an AM for these. There's way less hiss and stuff with that ceramic disc capacitor in place on the board. It's more enjoyable to listen to. Even when you go to sideband, you don't get that really like that as much. And a lot of bleed over though. Woo.
I'm going to get my friend home to give you a call. So back to you there, Carl. Give Jeff a shout. Yeah, cheers, Pete. Yeah, good evening, Jeff.
So yeah, you can slide in between. That's where all that was coming from. So a lot of those European guys like to use the in-between and all that stuff, so.
Yeah, cheers for the report there, Jeff. It's always
It's funny because everybody's fighting so hard on 11 meter just to get out and get across the pond and everything, and you go on 10 meter and it's just a nice friendly, the guy's calling from Spain out there on the one frequency I was listening to, and just everybody's getting a chance to talk to him one by one. You just wait your turn, you call out, and he'll respond if he can hear you. So sometimes it's like, man, it's so much more civilized, and then here everybody's just making as much noise as they can. But you gotta love this too, you know. There's nothing wrong with it, so I'm not trying to knock anybody, but I can respect both ways. Some more people in between, I think. Maybe not.
Yeah, sounded good, man.
Yeah.
No problem with you. That's a really interesting situation. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm going to taverns and, you know.
So you can use your course to kind of get you close, and then use your find to kind of dial them in a little more. It's hard when you don't know the person, but you can tell when somebody sounds normal or not. You know, it takes a little bit more operator experience to run a radio like this and get it sounding halfway decent on the receive side, on sideband. So, you know, these new radios just make it so easy for everybody, but, you know, there's something to be said about running a more radio like this. I mean, you could almost go, yeah, you can almost go the full channel. Can you go the full channel? Wow, yeah, you can on this one. Wow, you go the full channel. That's crazy. I didn't modify that course or anything. It's got some good slide to it. These were always good little radios. That's why I like the one I have. I'm going to keep it. But this one, I'm going to let it go. I'm getting a little long in the tooth on this video. So I'm going to show you guys the box and everything. So it does have the box and stuff with it. So let me grab that really quick. I wanted to show you guys the Roger beep too. I don't know if you can hear it in my monitor radio in the background, but I'll switch that off on that switch. Down is off and up is on. So there you go there. It's typical Ranger Roger beep. Okay, here's the box for it. So if anybody ever needs a box for one of these, I think I have a box for it. Because I had some of these and I sold them and the guys didn't want the box when I was selling these back in the day. Some local guys just flat out didn't want the box, and I'm like, okay, you don't want the box, I'll keep it. And they took the stuff that was in the box, but they didn't want the box for whatever reason. So again, this is the serial number right here. This is the same size as like a Cobra 29, I think. And it's the same size as the 979F and DX929. I miss Galaxy. I wish they still were around making radios. And I know there's still some radios on the market, but they're not making radios anymore, and it's a shame. Okay, there you go. There's the book. Looks like it's never been taken out. The insert, you have your bracket, and you have all this stuff here. So this stuff looks like it's never been used either. I'm assuming the mic's in there. I don't know if the hardware is in here. Let's just kind of slide it out and see really quick on the video. I don't think there's hardware in here. Hang on a second. Yeah, there's no hardware. You do get a power cord with Anderson power poles though, so that's kind of cool for those that might want to hook it up to their own power supply in the house. If you have a power source with Anderson power poles, that's what you get. You get the Galaxy stock mic, and you don't get any mounting hardware or anything like the knobs and stuff like that. So obviously I'll put the screws back in the radio, and just really quick we'll show the inside of the radio. So this is a familiar board. It looks a lot like the 979, 949, 959. It's real similar board, so nothing really crazy there. That's where I put the Roger beep down there. As you can see, you could take some wire ties if you really wanted to and wire tie that, but I kind of ran it around, and it's plugged into the board right here. That's where you plug it in. So it's plugged in. I got it wired up, and I think it looks pretty good. So obviously, you know, the Roger beep was something this didn't come with, but you definitely can add it. There is a spot on another video I showed you where you can enable talkback on this thing, and you could put switches on that for talkback. Now there's not a lot of real estate in the back, so you could add talkback later to this radio, and you might have to start putting switches out the side or the bottom of the case or the top. I mean, you could do whatever with it, but you know, or just not worry about it and not worry about talkback or a 10K. So the 10K, you have to take this board out, flip it around, and there's a couple solder points on this board that you would add your wires to for your 10K. So once you add the wires and, you know, on off, it'll jump 10K. So it's all, you can actually find it on YouTube, I think, too, how to do it. So it's really not too difficult. But again, this is the DX86V. What you see is what you get, and it's a nice Galaxy radio. I really miss the Galaxy stuff. You know, Galaxy was like one of my most favorite radios back when I was young, when I first got into CB and stuff like that. I mean, how many people loved their original like Galaxy DX99 radio and stuff like that? Man, you know, that was the radio to have back when I was young in the 90s. Everybody wanted one of those frickin' 99Vs. You know, I had like a newspaper route. Saved up my money to get one, and then I had a Galaxy DX2527 base station, which, as we know, is basically a 2985, but it had echo and stuff, and it was really cool. And these are cool little radios too for what they are. So, all right, we'll get this one posted up on the website. And again, you know, it's going to be sold as it is. It's used. It's not abused. 73.